Hello guys, welcome to this particular discussion, MIM versus MBA, or in other words, why an MIM program is recommended for a person who has less than 2 years of work experience. Now, in this video, we're not going to tell that, MIM is better than MBA, this has that, etc. We'll definitely analyze the pros and cons of each and every program. What is an inference that we'll try to come is that you will understand that as a person who has less than 2 years of work experience and conventional regular MBA program is not the one, oh, shit, we'll go again. Okay. Hello guys, welcome to this particular discussion, MIM versus MBA. So the agenda is why MIM is more recommended for a person who has less than 2 years of work experience or is in a very early stage in a career. Now, this discussion doesn't mean that these both programs are going to fight with each other. The meaning is that we'll try and understand why an MIM is more recommended for you compared to a regular conventional MBA program. Because at an early stage of career, right, you wouldn't have gone through a lot of what you call as a managerial experience, which means you would have not handled large teams, you are not very quickly grown up the ladder, etc. There are multiple reasons for that. So we'll understand why an MIM is much better suited for you compared to a regular conventional MBA program. Let's get started. First of all, what is this MIM? The acronym goes by the name Masters in Management. Just like how we have masters in science, masters in technology, masters in arts, masters in science, etc., there's also masters in management. Whereas a MBA goes by the acronym Masters in Business Administration. Masters in Business Administration. Whereas MIM is by the name Masters in Management. Now, the core difference, if I have to put it in a very one-liner cheesy statement, MIM is very theoretical, guys. MIM is very theoretical, okay? Whereas MBA is more practical. MBA is more practical. What do you mean by that is very simple. So when you take your MBA, right? In fact, I have done my MBA from Great Lakes Institute of Management. If you take your regular MBA, you learn a lot of your subjects through practical cases. What do you mean by that is, let's take operations, okay? We will actually learn a particular case study from an FMCG industry or from Amazon or from any of the companies, okay? It's in fact, what you learn is basically what is happening in the industry. It's more practical oriented. Whereas MIM is more theoretical. The same concept of operations, you learn the theories of operations, you learn the fundamentals of operations, you learn the equations, you learn different articles, etc. Whereas you won't go into the more practical aspect of it. Why is it split this way? Why MIM is more theoretical whereas MBA is more practical is very simple. First, let's consider the difference between MIM and MBA. Okay, who is eligible for an MIM, who is eligible for an MBA, or why MIM is recommended for people who have less than 2 years of work experience. First, we'll draw that line, then we'll understand what is this theory and practical. Okay. Now, first of all, we say MIM, it's ideally recommended for people who have less than 2 years of work experience, which means you're in the bandwidth of 1 to 2 years of work experience. MIM is a program that's much suitable for you. The other reason is, if you look at the duration of the MIM program, right, since it's hardcore theory, the duration is maximum up to 18 months. So there's a 12 to 18 month duration of a program, maximum 1 year or 1.5 years. Basically, even an 18-month program, your 3 months or 2 months are spent on internship. So ideally, it's a 12 to 14-month duration program. And the biggest point or biggest advantage of doing an MIM program is that your fees is very less. Okay, it starts from around 9 lakhs per annum. For example, NUS, NTU, SMU. Okay, these universities, your average fees for doing an MIM program is around 8 to 9 lakhs of Indian rupees. Much lesser compared to a regular MBA program. And by the way, we even say this MIM with a name called as a early MBA. Okay, early MBA. I'll tell you why is that so. For example, now if you look at the conventions of the MBA compared to all the parameters we look for MBA, if you look at MBA, right, on an average, 5 to 7 years of work experience is required for you to even become eligible to apply for a regular MBA program. I'll give you an Indian example. I've written my GMAT, got an excellent score. I got a score of 720 out of 800. Applied to very good B schools in India, ISB, SP Jain, and Great Lakes Institute of Management. Okay, I got calls from all the 3 B schools, exceptional B schools. I attended the interview in Great Lakes, cracked it there, did my MBA there. I attended the interview in SP Jain, but I wanted to be in Chennai, therefore I did my MBA from Great Lakes. Now, ISB is a more trickier part, okay? ISB, I got a call. Excellent, cracked my interview very well, probably. Okay, then they said that, look, Hemant, your GMAT score is good, your experience is good, etc., but I have to kind of put you on waiting list. Okay, the reason is very simple, guys. When I wrote my GMAT and when I applied for my MBA, my average work experience was 2.5 years. Okay, my average work experience is 2.5 years. Whereas if you look at the class of ISB, right, the average work experience is upward of 4 to 5 years. In fact, it goes up to 10 years for some people. Okay, because ISB is one of the most reputed B schools in India. It's in fact ranked number 27 all over the globe, whereas IIMs are ranked 33 and 35. So that's why ISB had put this criteria. Though you have good credentials, though you have a good experience, but your years of experience is very, very less. But let's say, had I applied for MIM program at that stage, I would have got it from a very good university in abroad. So that is a message. MBA requires on an average 5 to 7 years of work experience. On top of it, typically all the MBA programs across the globe is a 2-year program. Okay, it's a 18 months to 24 months program. And by the way, fees is massively higher. Even if you take a very low average profile college, the fees is upward of 30 lakhs per annum. Okay, you take very good B schools like Harvard, Stanford, your fees will go up to 70 lakhs per year. And it's almost 1.2 crores for the entire cost of expenditure. So fees is massive, work experience required is massive, duration of the program is massive. Whereas MM has beats all this convention where you get your MBA much regularly. Now, this point might not convince you because you need to understand, right? You naturally know the facts that MBA guy makes a lot of salary, whether equivalent salary is given to an MM guy. What we'll do is we'll plot something called as a salary graph. Okay, we'll plot something called as a salary graph. Okay, my next slide is about that. I'll quickly show you what is that. Okay. Now, what is this salary graph is? We are comparing this graph with 3 people. Okay, a guy who does his regular MBA, a guy who does his MIM program, a guy who does not do any of these things. Okay, very lazy, typical Indian mindset. Okay, won't do anything but you want a high salary, doesn't make any sense. Okay, so we're going to compare these 3 people. Let us understand how have they grown in terms of salary. Now, first of all, let's consider a guy who does this, guy who has not done anything. See, you know how much Indian undergrads get. Okay, by the way, let me explain this graph. The y-axis in the graph is the average salary in Indian lakhs. So as you do your MIM or go about your career without doing your MIM or if you do your MBA, what is the salary that you receive in a span of 8 years? So that's your y-axis. It's in lakhs, which means 100 lakhs is basically 1 crore. And your x-axis is basically your timeline. What do you mean by timeline is you're graduating at 0th point and after which how many years of work experience that you have. Now, if you plot this graph, you know how much Indian undergrads receive, whether it's engineering, arts, or commerce, or science. In fact, arts and commerce or science receive much more lesser compared to engineers. So, engineers receive anywhere 3 to 4 lakhs per annum, whereas arts and science receive 2 to 3 lakhs per annum. Okay, as an average starting salary. Yes, there are exceptional guys who get 8, 10, 15. Those guys are from IIT, NITs, and those are in hand countable numbers. But the majority of the people get these particular salaries. Now, the problem number 2 is that the problem 1 is your salary is very low. Problem number 2 is that your salary increment given in these companies without your regular MBA, when you get into a entry level role and continue being in that role, your salary increment is only 6 to 8% per annum. Okay, 6 to 8%, average is around 7% per annum. So if you plot a graph with these numbers and you continue your career in India without having a master's degree for the span of 8 years, your salary never ever increases. 7% a year is a very minimalistic increase. So if you look at what happens after 8 years, your salary will be around what? Approximately 8 to 10 lakhs per annum. Okay, it's a higher range I'm saying. It will be much lower. Okay. Now, this is a case when you don't do an MBA. Obviously, this doesn't inspire you. So, that's the reason you guys wanted to do an MBA program. But unfortunately, MBA also doesn't accept you at this point because it requires a 4 to 5 years of work experience. So, what is the next best thing you do? You can consider doing an MIM program. So, what happens is that for the first 2 years, typically that is the bandwidth you are lying in currently. For the first 2 years, you don't get a great salary. Post which you start doing your MIM, there is a dip in your salary. Obviously, right? You go do an MBA program, you have to invest money in that amount. So that money goes on the negative scale. You don't earn that money, you spend that money. But that's not so high, guys, because we already looked at the average fees on MIM. How much is that? Around 8 to 10 lakhs per annum. 10 lakhs for a fees. Okay, you invest that money, your graph goes negative. But look at this. Average starting salary of an MIM guy is upward of 30 to 40 lakhs per annum. Okay, Indian rupees. A guy who does his MIM from one of the very good B schools in abroad. I'm not talking about Harvard, Stanford. I'm talking about a very average B school in abroad. If you do your MIM, your salary is upward of 30 to 40 lakhs. So there's a massive salary jump there. Okay, and by the way, I'm keeping a nominal salary increment, roughly around 10 to 15%. Okay, in fact, it's much more, but I'm keeping a very average amount. So your salary increases very good exponentially, and in a span of 8 years, you receive much more salary. It goes very, very high. Okay, so MIM gives you the flexibility where you can start your master's degree specifically in management much earlier. Okay, and you also have a massive salary increment, also a very high starting salary. Whereas, plot the same graph for an MBA. For the first 4 years, you can never do a master's degree because MBA requires 4 to 5 years of work experience. So you lie in the same bandwidth. Okay, you should have either applied for a MIM degree during your early age of career, or there are some MIM programs which accept you during your undergrad itself. You don't even need work experience. In fact, the college tells if you have work experience, don't apply for my MIM program. Those kinds of options are available. But unfortunately, we missed all those things. So you're at this point where you can apply for an MIM program. You even missed that. Only 4 years later, you can apply for a regular MBA program. By the way, guys, after 4 years, you're not eligible to apply for MIM program. So MIM puts this criteria, you should be in the bandwidth of 1 to 2, maximum 3 years of work experience. Beyond that, please come and apply for my regular MBA program. So after which there's a massive investment. I already told you, right? MBA costs you what, 30 to 40 lakhs per annum, okay? Or even much more when you do it from a reputed B school, okay? So there's a massive investment here, okay? Post which your salaries increase exponentially. I'm definitely not denying that. Even in today's global market, your MBA degree is still highly valued, provided you do from a very good B school. I'm not talking about some 300, 400 rank B school. I'm talking about the top 100 rank B school. Your salary massively increases. If you do it typically in abroad, your salaries could go up in the range of 60 to 70 lakhs per annum. Okay, starting salaries. There's a massive increment, and after which every year the salary increment is also very, very high. So exponentially your salary keeps increasing. Okay. Now the irony in this entire graph is that if you compute something called as a return on investment, I'll be shortly computing that. Second, in terms of the total cost invested. Third, in terms of the acceptance percentage. If you look at those numbers which are not explicitly shown in the graph, I'll tell you the numbers. For example, if you look at the cost, I already told you, right? MIM cost you very, very less, starting from around 8 to 10 lakhs per annum, goes up to 30 lakhs per annum when you want to do it from a reputed B school in abroad. For example, London Business School or your University of St. Gallen's. It's a #1 B school for doing an MIM program. Fees could go up to 30 lakhs. Whereas an MBA starts itself with a 30, 40 lakhs and goes up to 80, 90 lakhs or even a crore when you want to do it from a very reputed school. So MIM in terms of fees is relatively much, much lower compared to a regular MBA program. Second, acceptance percentage, or what do you call a success percentage. What do you mean by that is, let's take this situation, okay? 100 people are applying for MIM program. Okay, 100 people are applying for MIM program. 100 people are applying for regular MBA program. Okay, if you look at the success percentage, which means if of the 100 applicants, how many people actually get selected for the particular program? If you look at MIM, right, it is relatively much, much higher compared to an MBA. I'll take a best case. I'm taking Harvard Business School. Okay, it's one of the best B schools in the entire world for doing an MBA program. In fact, Stanford is ranked #1, whereas Harvard is ranked #2. Okay, if I take Harvard, it has a regular MBA program, but it has 2 levels of entry. What is a 2 level of entry is that? One, you can go for a regular Harvard MBA program, gain 4 to 5 years of solid work experience, get an exceptionally high GMAT score, and you can go for that particular MBA program. Or there's another route called as a Harvard 2+2 MBA program. Okay, where this program they ask you to apply during your undergrad itself. Unfortunately, you guys are not eligible for that, but you guys are eligible for MIM program. Whereas if you're an undergrad, right, Harvard 2+2 accepts your application during your undergrad itself, reserves your seat, come 2 years later, do my regular MBA program. If you look at these both routes, right, going through conventional route for a regular MBA and going through the 2+2 route, your regular MBA program has a success percentage of 1%. Whereas your 2+2 has a success percentage of 11%. See, I'm not saying 11 is a very, very big number, but compared to 1%, 11% is relatively a much, much bigger number. Okay, and this is the best case, guys. I'm taking the best university in the world. So when you go for a 20th, 30th, 40th rank university, the success percentage is much, much higher. And that's why MIM is more easier for you to get into compared to a regular MBA program, right? And ultimately, okay, you start your career, you do your MIM, and then you get a good salary. We've seen that graph. And let's say you start your MBA, you get a very good salary hike, etc. You start your career. The irony is that, see, when you do your MIM or MBA, right, when the company recruits you, they won't directly recruit you in a manager position. Though you got your MBA, they will recruit in a position called as a management trainee. Okay, and the first designation the company gives is something called as an associate. Typically, when you complete your MIM and consulting firms hires you, or banks hire you, or let's say tech companies hire you, the junior role that they give you is an associate. Whereas even when you do an MBA, even when you do a regular MBA, manager position is not given. It's given after a few months or few years. The first position that you join is basically junior associate. So ultimately, associate and junior associate are not so very big difference in designation. Okay, they are the same thing more or less. So you can still get into the same designation. And ultimately, right, when you compute something called as an ROI, what do you mean by ROI is basically return on investments. Okay, first you invest very, very less in an MIM, around 10 to 15 lakhs. Returns is massive. When I say returns is massive, it is not as high compared to MBA. But since you are starting your MIM very, very early, you start reaping your returns much earlier. So if you take the cumulative graph, right, let me clear all these things, okay? If you take the cumulative graph of an MIM guy, you can see that the graph clearly tells you the area, right? The area has more area here when you do your MIM. Whereas MBA, look at this same graph, it is much higher, but you need to work for much longer period to reap your investments. That's why return on investments when you compare an MIM program is much higher compared to a regular MBA. So returns is massive for a period of 8 years. If you look at the percentage, right, this around 2000 percentage. Whereas an MBA, point number one is that MBA cost you a lot. Point number two is that returns are massive, but again, it takes a long duration because you have to start your MBA itself after 4 years, and post which you have a 2 years of MBA, post which your salary is exponentially increased. So it takes a 12 to 15-year period to reap your investments. That's why the return on investments is relatively less compared to an MIM. Okay, so hopefully this discussion will make a conclusion, or you can come to an inference that, why MIM is much recommended for a fresher, why it is considered as an early MBA, why it is better in terms of the fees paid to the college, why it is better in terms of the return on investments, why it is better in terms of designations, etc. So, and by the way, guys, let me make one disclaimer. In fact, I should have made this disclaimer earlier. I'm making it at the end. This graph is a highly theoretical graph. Okay. This graph is a highly theoretical graph. What do you mean by that is there's not some bogus numbers. I'm taking one representation, okay, one B school comparison I'm taking. The graph will have its variations from B schools to B schools, from students to students, from companies to companies. But more or less, the return on investments, or what you call as starting early, investments are very less, is always remaining common. So don't say this graph is a conclusion, but different iterations of the graph could come based on different salaries. That's a disclaimer I want to make. But ultimately, one thing is very clear, guys. MIM is highly recommended for people who are in the early stage of work experience because lesser fees, much higher starting salaries, and you start much early, and your return on investment is massive, right? So regarding what are the other MIM options, for example, what are the colleges that you can consider in India and abroad? What are the kind of companies that recruit you? That's more important, right? Yeah, salaries are there, but what kind of companies, what kind of job roles will accept me? I'm in the very early stage of my career, right? So we have more such videos discussing those topics. So have a look at them and enrich your knowledge on this particular discussion. Thank you so much, guys.